Welcome back to Little Side Note. This is Maya, and
When
so today we wanted to talk about a topic that is sort of known by everyone, but no one really changes it, I guess. They're like, just settle with it. It's something so usual, you could say.
yeah, it's
Like,
totally
so-
normalized.
Yeah, which is like, it's morally wrong, but people are just like, let's just go with it, Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
So it is about married men. Sometimes women too. We don't discriminate, but
Yeah.
mostly we do hear more about men
We
cheating.
don't discriminate bad people.
Yeah. I mean, if you agreed on getting into an open relationship or an open marriage from the start, okay, you do you. No judgment. But generally, I don't think that most people are that open to that concept here,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's totally normal for like married men to cheat on their partners. I don't know. There's always this thing where they say that married men can cheat, like it's a nature of a man to cheat, whereas a woman, their nature is to please that man, and if he's not pleased enough, he can go out to cheat.
like, okay, let's break this down. How is this logical? If a man is not satisfied, shouldn't he try to communicate with his partner and do something about it? Go to couples counseling, doing this, doing that, work it out together, because that's what you initially signed up for. That's what a marriage is. You don't get the temporary call it quits and then go have fun with someone else, come back as though nothing happened. That it don't work that way.
Yeah, but like I think the problem is I think in Campbell most of the time you're not allowed to feel, right? So when a married couple is like aggressively like it's strained, basically the marriage is strained, they're not even supposed to talk about it, because if the man is talking about it, then it means that you know how certain people think that if you like talk about your wife as if your wife is like this angel, your buddies will make fun of you. They'll be like, you're not a strong enough man, like you're not manly enough, like you
Toxic masculinity.
Right. You gotta like step on your wife and something like that, because I've seen it with my own eyes, with my own family, that married men in my family degrades their wife in front of their friends, but in actual reality they're actually really scared of their wife.
For me, I never see like married men, at least in my family, they don't degrade their wives. They just don't really say much about their wives, but their friend group knows that their wives are the ones who are like, well, that's pulling the weight the most, basically. Yeah.
I think a lot of men knows that, like it's just that they don't want to like kind of like talk about it out loud, like they're denying it. They need to be the alpha.
Like, it's so stupid when you break it down, I don't see, like, again, always runs back to face. Dude, like, is face really that important? Do you take your face to your grave? Are you proud to have been like, a god to other people, but a piece of shit to your family? Like, is it really worth it?
Yeah. Like, I've talked about it with a few of our friends, like, before, that, like, if I was married, right, like, I wouldn't degrade my partner. I would be, like, I'm happy to be the one that is lucky, like, I would like to be the one that I would probably boast about my partner and be like, I'm the lucky one, like, look at me,
Like, it, okay, not gonna lie, I find it so appealing The thought that, oh yeah, I snatched this person who's out of my league, and they know that they're out of my league, but they're happy. They are so happy with it. Like, they don't think about the league at all. But I'm like, you're out of my league, but I snatched you. So I'm like, dude, like, that's the ultimate pride, you know?
Ego boost.
Yes. Like, okay, no one's perfect, but you know that there's a league, there's a tier, and all that stuff. So yeah, it's like, yeah, a sense of ego boost. Sometimes I feel like maybe the face is there if Campbell's people's way of doing an ego boost.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't think I have, like, because you guys know me, right? I don't think I can act serious and stuff like that in front of you guys. Like, it's so funny. Like,
oh my god. I have this tendency, I realized over the years that the friend groups that I made, the ones that actually last, is only because they don't tick me off too much. Like, I don't like people who show off. If they show off too much, eventually I'll drift apart from them. The second thing is if they are too proud, talk about money too much. I don't know why. Money is not a topic that I like to talk about. I don't know about you, but yeah.
Same.
Like, you do you, because I guess I don't want money to be a factor in being a friend. Because it's like such a materialistic thing. Yeah, you can afford this, you can afford that, but there's always alternatives to luxury. You can still live a great, decent life. Some products that are not as expensive actually work better. So, like, the price doesn't always define the quality.
Yeah.
That's kind of something that I live by now. But I feel like this is my problem, that I don't know if I can live in Cambodia in the future. Because people here, they love to show off.
Yeah.
They love to exuberate this, like, I got money. I remember there was, I did not tell you about this actually. So the other day, there was this random dude who's like our age, and he texted me randomly to my Finsta account, not even my main account. And then he's like, hi. And I thought he was someone else, so I replied. Then I realized he isn't the person I was thinking of. And then he replied to me saying that, he listened to this podcast where, this is how a billionaire thinks. And the moral of the episode was networking will get you really far. So he's trying an experiment where he will, like, reach out to people one person a day, try to get to know them, to try to get some networking, and maybe ask for their advice, which I'm like, okay, awesome idea. Because it's like the same concept of a TikTok creator that I follow, Blonde Radio. So that was like, okay, that's an interesting idea. I was like, I'd love to help. And he studied in Aussie, and like, he asked for my experience, then found out, we're the same age and all that stuff. And then right when I was like, so high respect for this dude, he just plops it down. Because you know what? I'm like, by the end of the conversation, I was like, I hope that I'll see you as a rising entrepreneur someday in the papers or something. Because that's what we kind of do now with the smart entrepreneur programs and stuff. And then he's like, I'm like, hopefully you'll become a billionaire soon because of this concept of networking. And then he's like, maybe I already am, but I just want to make more money. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I was about to follow your Instagram account, but thanks for that reply. I'm glad I'm not your friend. I'm so glad now. Like, you sense this too much proudness. The other thing that also bothered me in that conversation was, I'm like, why don't you just do this on LinkedIn? It would seem more like you would know the person's background before you actually talk to them, and then you'll know that, you could ask all these stuff and have a more deeper conversation instead of just randomly hitting people up on their DMs and Instagram. And then suddenly he said, what? LinkedIn? I don't have an account. And I'm like, okay. Just thought that you would have, because, like, everyone's like at least have an account that they don't use it, but at least they have an account. And then he's like, I didn't ask why, but he's like, the reason for that is because my parents are a high working government officer in the government, so I never had any worries about getting a job. And I'm like, bitch, slap you, bro. If you are in real life, I will slap you, your thick skinness.
Oh my god, this dude. Super, very, very privileged, very dense.
Dude, I'm ashamed to call him that he actually went through being an international student. Like, dude, I feel like a lot of us got so humbled after we realized being an international student is so much harder than everyone
thinks it is.
Shows it to
definitely.
be, yeah. I was so mad after that. But anyway, we're drifting off of the topic.
Yeah, we're drifting.
What do you count as cheating?
Cheating.
Like, yeah.
Okay. Count as cheating. I wouldn't say like, okay, so so for me
name
personally,
name sense it out.
No, there wasn't any names, but like I was thinking, because I've never thought about it. Because to me, if people really wanted to like go, like if they just tell me like, hey, I started talking to someone and I really liked them, and I don't like you anymore, so can we break up? And I'll be like, oh yeah, cool. You know, so I've never really, in that scenario, I didn't really think about it as cheating. I know it was cheating because they were talking to someone else behind my back, but I don't see it as cheating for some reason. To me, I think it's when like that person gets physical is when it's cheating.
Like, I always thought that getting physical would count as cheating. But I realized that it's starting to get fuzzy with age for me. Like, you can talk to anyone you like. You can be close to the opposite gender and stuff, but at least let me in on it, because I don't want to go around being like, for instance, if I'm a girlfriend and then your friend mentions about this, and this, and I'm just like sitting there not knowing it at all when you've talked to this person so much about that topic, and I'm like, I don't know, I guess I have this sense of inferiority where it's like, I should know almost everything that's going on with your life right now, because when you are in that moment of love and passion, you would want to, that the other party, or at least like this is my opinion, like both parties would want each other to know everything about each other, because you're just like that into each other. And then to be like, I don't know what's going on with your life, like for instance, maybe, oh, you got excuse me,
bless you.
For instance, you got like maybe, oh, a new friend or something. I would like just a small mention. You don't need to talk about everything, just like a small mention that I know of it, then it'll be great. But if you don't really talk to me about it, or like you talk to someone so consistently and you go out of your way to hide it from me knowing, I question if I would count that as cheating, because it would emotionally hurt me almost the same amount as someone else being physical. So like
it comes to, because the way why I think it's blurry is because like, so if my partner like thinks that maybe they're talking to someone, like in their head, like they weren't like talking to that person for the intention of dating them in the future, but they eventually can't help it that they develop feelings for that person. So that's when it's blurry, right? Like, they're not really cheating, but they are thinking about that other person, you know? So that's why I think, for me, that's why I would prefer if they like told me that they like another person, then I'll let go, because I don't want to put them in a position to kind of like guilty with themselves and trying so hard to like me again.
Mm.
Where it's just
I get what you
me.
mean. I would want the same you are if you don't have feelings for me anymore, and all you have is like empathy that you're gonna hurt me instead of the love and care that you once had, and it's being with someone else that you feel that way, then I would rather you tell me, hurt me now, let me heal in my own time, and then let life run its course. There's no point in trying to hold on to a dead relationship when it's dead. You can't revive a person. Why try to revive a dead relationship?
Do you tell, like, if you're dating, do you tell your partner like who you dated before and who you liked before? Because I do that. I'm like, oh yeah, I dated this person then, and I like this person at this certain time, and like we're friends now and stuff like that.
Because I have very little relationships to go by. Like in high school when I dated, like everyone knew my dating history. I didn't have to go out of my way and tell them. So I was like, I didn't have to tell them that time. But for the last relationship, I just said, I dated I had a history of dating two other guys, and then that's it. And a period of time, but I never went out of my way this is his name, this is his image, and all that stuff, or where he is right now. It's just very general information of the guy previously. And because I don't usually keep in touch with exes, I didn't have to have that talk, because I just like it not as messy. But for sure, I've considered in my future relationships, if I'm gonna get talking stage, I probably won't say anything, because usually there's not much going on anyway. Unless they start to ask me will you be this, I would not agree until I told them this is my history, this is what happened, are you okay with it, are you still sure? I don't want to come in blind, because one of my relationships, I went in blind without knowing what detailedly happened and to what extent or how far they were in. And then when I knew about it, in the back of my mind, although I was in love with the person, I was oh shit, what did I get myself into? Because there was this fear of being a rebound and stuff that happened after I already agreed. Kind of I signed a contract without reading through it.
For me, even in a talking stage, I've kind of let the person know that how long I've broken up, who else I'm talking to, if at the moment I am, and if I was kind of sure about because sure if I wanted to pursue the relationship together. So I like to keep my communications clear.
Something I need to keep in my head. Yeah, it's a good habit. I like that habit. Communication is key. I remember one of my supervisors, we were having a team bonding lunch, and she mentioned that with her current husband and the father of her child, she actually meant before they got married, she actually clarified to him that no, if you cheat in any sort of way, know that I'm leaving. I'm not like some of this random other girls here where they just suck it up and act as though nothing happened. No, I'm leaving. And I'm very proud of her for communicating that and actually being upfront about it before it were to ever happen. Because if it does happen, hopefully it doesn't. She can just say, I've already warned you. You cannot blame it on me for not mentioning it.
I was thinking of I've seen couples that the guy cheated or the girl cheated in a marriage, and then they end up working back together. How do you feel about it? Because for me personally, I don't think I can do that.
I would say I could not do it, but There was a phrase last year during lockdown where I really dived into um like failed marriages and like cheating dramas. And because it was controversial, you get the perspective of the cheater and not the one who was being cheated on. So I'm like, seeing them trying to restore it, I do empathize with them sometimes because, like, you know, you only know how good you had it until it's gone, kind of thing. So I cannot blame them for trying to restore what they knew was good. But at the same time, I'm like flip-flopping between like, you have to take responsibility for your actions. Sometimes a sorry or making it up by little gestures don't cut it. Some things, like, if it's broken, it's broken.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, with people, I only have, like, I only give them, like, one time. Like, if you break my trust, like, one time, then that's it. Like, there's no second chances, whatever. Like, maybe, like, I'm still not over you and shit like that. But, like, like, even if I get back with you, in the back of my head, like, I would still doubt it. Like, no matter how, like, how many gestures or gifts or affection you show me, it's still gonna be there at the back of my head. So, that's why I always make a rule to, like, if I'm broken up, then I'm broken up. Like, there's no going back. You know.
I'm trying to follow that rule right now. So, for the past, I don't know, like 5-6 years, I think, I'm glad I followed that rule because my first relationship, it was that situation where I went back in blind multiple times in a toxic relationship that I did not need. So I've made a promise to myself that if it's over, then it's over. There's no more what if. Like, even if I think about it in the back of my head, I will stop myself from actually doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. I like that. I know people are like, oh, you should give others a second chance, but it's depends on the person too.
Yeah. I don't have the heart. I don't have the heart space to go through that emotional turmoil again.
I keep telling myself that I'm fine. Sometimes I question if I'm fine or not until, like, I forget that I've ever questioned it. And that's, like, a long time after. Which, I don't know. I guess it's a process of healing. I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay. Questionable. But how do you feel, like, if, for instance, hypothetically, a father cheated, like your father cheated, and then how would you act as a kid?
How old am I, like, in that scenario?
As old as you want to be, I guess.
Well, honestly, I feel like my family would like not let me know, and they would end up getting divorced anyway. But because we're taught to obey, like, our parents, our authority, so we don't question them. So even if in that scenario, like, I know that my dad is wrong, I don't think I can voice out my opinion. So it would just be like, damn it. But yeah, I'll probably live as it is what it is. I know it's not a good thing, like, you should call out on your parents' bullshit or whatever, but because I was taught to obey authority, then that's what I'm gonna do.
It's like, just shut up. And then, okay, I was stressed one time and I asked my dad for advice. Like, I cannot take talking with them sometimes because it always stirs up some stuff. I'm like, I don't want to call you guys because I'm stressed. And you guys make me more stressed. And then he's like, you cannot say that. You have to shove it down. Act as though nothing happened. And I'm like, y'all know that is toxic, right?
Right, yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it to him, like, well, you know what toxic is? You know, like, that is not healthy, right? You're gonna, like, they've heard the concept of stress, but they don't know toxicity. They don't know, like, mentally it could affect physically.
They don't know how to properly cope, is what,
I mean, I can't blame them either because it worked for them when they're trying to cope out of Pol Pot. And I guess it kind of works so far, like shoving it down so much that you don't feel it anymore, and then once you're old enough you can talk about it again as though this is like this heroic adventure that you went through, when in truth it was a really, really devastating tragedy that happened.
It for us right now, for them it was like survive or die. You know, with us it's not that. So in a sense we don't have like their instincts of trying to like live.
The drive to live and go far and beyond. I feel like our generation doesn't have that. Like we do have some tenacity, but not as high as them. So
like they were literally backed into a wall. That's when they had to like kind of like cope like that. But we're like super lucky to not be in that era.
They tried their very best to make sure we never face even an ounce of what they had to go through. Back to our topic. Do you think that in our generation, maybe 10 years down the road, cheating would be less normalized?
Actually, I'm not too sure, because even in our generation, hookup is like a very trendy thing, right? And
surprisingly, I didn't think so, but surprisingly it is.
And now with all like gender exploration, things like that, polyamorous things and things like that, people discovering themselves, I think the hookup culture is not gonna be dead anytime soon.
For sure. I don't think hookup culture is ever gonna slow down, to be honest. It's become the new date without parental prohibition.
And I think everyone has their own shit to carry, so hooking up is like having that physical connection without all the emotional baggage. So a lot of people see ideal in that like no strings attached. Like you satisfy my physical craving and we don't have to ever talk about it.
To be honest, looking at it at a logical sense, it makes sense because we are like animals baseline without the intelligence. We have urges that sometimes cannot be controlled. Conceptually I can get it, but emotionally right now I cannot accept it. I think it's probably the way we're raised.
Probably.
I don't know.
Culture wise, yes, it plays, but I know that hookup culture is also seeping in like everywhere, so
true. Like,
also don't judge people for hooking up, guys. Like,
no,
that's immature as fuck.
Like, you can only judge yourself for your own actions. Like, other people, whatever they want to do, it's their body. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And you don't know who you are. So most people don't even know who they are until they're dead.
But like we've been advocating, like be safe.
Just use protection.
Use protection.
You don't want to bring another responsibility without like having everything prepared. Just saying.
Definitely.
I know some people who have it worked out, but it's like the chances of it working out is quite low, you know. So don't wing it too much, guys. Okay, so if like, would you tolerate it then, like cheating in your time?
Cheating?
Yeah.
Um,
Like if you're married and then your spouse or partner suddenly like cheats, and then would you like try to work it out?
I don't think
Divorce,
so.
Separation.
Because, probably divorce. But not probably divorce. Definitely divorce.
Definitely.
Because I feel like, because I have low self-esteem anyway. Because if they choose the other person, they chose to cheat with the other person, then it means that I'm probably lower, like in priority than the other person. So, like I said, I do not want to burden them with that choice of either me or them, which is like walk out of the picture.
How about this though? What if they were under the influence?
Oh, then the other person is literally breaking the law. So, I was a part of my...
Like for instance, they were drunk and then it was a mistake.
Like, how drunk are they? Like, blackout drunk? Or, like... Right.
Probably blackout drunk to go that
Yeah, but
far.
but then they don't have the consent, though.
No. Like, your partner is the one who's blacked out drunk.
Yeah,
And doing it with another person who's blacked out drunk.
About that. Oh, shit.
You know, it's like a messy situation where
oh, shit.
they didn't talk it through. It was just like... There was even a possible scenario where he was so drunk or she was so drunk that they thought it was you. And then, you know.
Well, I think it depends on how early they're going to tell me about it. Because I feel like if they were like very, very like guilty, like if they really thought it was me and it's another person, they would like freak out. And then they would be like, oh my God, like I need to tell you something, right? But if they actually... have this guilty conscience of actually wanting, like, have this attraction to that person, and that's why they did it, and they didn't want to tell me about it because of guilty pleasure, then probably divorce.
But then I think of, like, you know, when you feel the relationship is slipping away, but you still feel love for the other person, but you're... Like, attraction is not love to me.
Yeah.
Let's clarify that. You can be attracted to someone because they look good. It's a physical thing, too.
Yeah.
Your brain cannot control it. Be helped. Like, finding someone attractive. For instance, if I had a boyfriend, I would still say this Korean actor looks very attractive.
Definitely.
So, what if they had an attraction? That's why they did it. But they're drunk.
Oh, man.
Like, you know, you have no more control of your urges.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because you're drunk. Yeah, you know, like, it's such blurry lines. I think this is why most Cambos, they just rub it off because they know it's a blurry line if you really dive deep into what actually happened. Hell, some people would even say it's social pressure from their friends to do it. Which, horrible friends, by the way. You should probably stop hanging out with them.
Yes.
But they would
that's
say,
not
like...
just a, like, red flag, dude. That's, like, a mega giant red planet.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, social pressure for them to do it. So they did it. And then, like, you know. It's disgusting.
Oh, I read a book
And then,
about... So they were like first love, high school lovers, and like true soulmate love. But then they eventually broke off and met other people and dated other people. But then like they end up getting back together because of that. Like if it was you and like maybe you broke up with your first boyfriend, right? And then you went out to date other people, but you were still thinking of your first boyfriend. And then eventually, but your first boyfriend is in the same boat where they didn't want to break up with you, but like circumstances, and they're thinking of you, and then one day you're meeting again. Like, would you get back together, or like?
I wouldn't say get back together. It says like, let's be honest. When you broke up and you stopped talking to them, or like they fell in love with someone else, they actually become a totally different person. They're going through different life experiences where you're not present and you're not there to see the changes. So in a sense, to me, although oh, you dated this person, you broke up. If you guys lose contact, and if you guys are like not staying friends or just like acquaintances, don't know anything about each other anymore, giving each other that time and space to heal. And then you meet once again, you become friends, get to know each other again, fell in love again. It's like falling in love with the upgraded version of the previous one.
Okay, I see.
You know, that's how I think, because like they went through other people and realized their mistakes, what they did wrong. So now they're not gonna make the same mistakes. They're changing, and of course, like, yeah. Because even you and me, after like we lost contact a bit for like over a year, am I still the same version as the one I was in high school?
Well, I didn't talk to you much in high school, so
for me, I feel like with each passing year, I realize I'm a bit more open-minded to the stuff that I once said no to.
Yeah.
And that as a whole makes me an entirely different person, because to me, a person is like every single decision that you would have made, not just like, oh, you changed a little bit. Like, no, you changed entirely.
Yeah. Should we end it on that note?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what advice to give people. I mean, if you are like attracted to somebody else besides your partner and you don't know what to do, I guess talk to your partner about it. I don't know, like it's messy, like humans' emotions are like messy.
It's messy and it's uncontrollable. It's not logical. And I hope for all the best and pray that you guys will never face through that.
Yeah. Always be a good person, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. So thank you for listening to our episode today. If you enjoyed our podcast, please go like, follow, and subscribe us on Instagram and I'm blanking out and YouTube.
Yeah. Okay.
That's Little Side Note. And then on Facebook, that's Little Side Note the podcast. If you want to reach out to us, is littlesidenote@gmail.com. And I guess we'll see you guys next week.